Hey everyone, and welcome back. This is of course the review for the 7th episode of Bates Motel. And I didn't like this episode as much as I liked last week's episode. But it was still a good episode, and you know, if you're following the series, you know that last week's episode was pretty hard to top. But this one still developed characters, developed relationships, the story. You know, it had some good things about it, and it even introduced a new character, which of course is one of the things I'll get into. This episode is going to be a little shorter, my voice is a little out of it, and later on this, because I have a lot of shows I watch now on Monday nights, and this episode didn't give me as much to work with, but it was still good, and I really enjoyed it. So let's just jump on in. Now, with the previews of last episode, of course, it builds up that the sheriff finds that Dylan killed Shelby, and it kind of builds that up suspensefully, like you think it's going to be a bad thing, but it wasn't. He reveals that he knew that Shelby was in with the whole thing with the girls and everything, and he was investigating him, with of course out to be Shelby into it, and doing undercover in a way. So it was okay, but it just seemed off, but it would just be okay. And I've always suspected that the sheriff might be into it. I can't be sure about that. But it was kind of weird. I'm not sure if I really liked that part or not. One of the few things about the series so far that I may not like. It was kind of rushed. Like, you know, no, it's fun. Another thing is the dog. This was something that I did like about the episode. Not the fact it's the dog itself. I mean, I don't really care about the dog. I mean, I love animals, don't get me wrong. But I'm really glad that Norman did not kill the dog. I was kind of afraid that that would happen. And to me, that would be way too cliched because, you know, you always hear about serial killers and, you know, mad people and psychotic people. And they always hear, you know, well, they tortured and killed small animals when they were young. They tortured and killed small animals when they were young. And that would have been way too cliched. I mean, he liked the dog. And, of course, you see at the end, I was afraid again at this part that he was about to kill the dog himself. But he didn't. The dog got hit by the car because he was trying to get the dog to come over because he wanted a companion, I think. And, of course, I'll get into why he wanted somebody or something in there with him in a minute. But, Jesus, this was one of the things, and I'm not trying to make fun of a scene that was supposed to be sad here. But when the dog got ran over, it was so obviously fake. Like, of course, you know, there wasn't a real dog that getting run over. But, oh my God, I almost laughed. It was so badly done and so fake. But that's just a small thing. It was worth a laugh. It's not going to kill the series for me. Now, the guy in apartment 9, that's one of the big things about this episode, and that's what I'm going to spend the most time on. He's definitely weird. And you know who he reminds me of? Not so much the acting, but his face and everything. And I know it's not. At least I don't think it is. I haven't looked it up, but I'm pretty sure it's not. It reminds me of Jack Coleman, that played Noah Bennett on Heroes. It's about his face. It's probably the glasses that add a lot to it. There's a little bit about his attitude and acting, but not really. So, anyway, about him. You're led to believe that he is, of course, the one that broke into the main office at night when no one went down and no one was asleep, and it didn't seem to be Dylan. And it might not have been him, but you're definitely suspecting that it's him. Previous last up again made it look like he was caught, but he wasn't. That was pretty cool. That scene right there, I really enjoyed that scene because it really helped build up suspense. You know, you never knew what was going to happen. Was he going to attack her? Was he going to come behind her? Or whatever, and all of a sudden her turn around to see him and freak out or whatever. And the only thing that I didn't like about him, and this was slightly disappointing, So it really didn't develop his character much. It didn't really delve into him. Now, it looks as if, from the way he's talking about, he needs the whole block right there every 2 months. For the first couple of weeks or something like that. And, of course, the previews make it seem that in the next episode, at the very least, if not more, that he's going to become more sinister, he's going to develop and plot more, and his character's going to come up more. He says something to Norma in the previews, you know, like, you can't expect me to believe that you didn't know what was going on. In the very beginning, you know, I suspected, and I'm sure as many of you suspected, that he was in with the girls. Just the way he was talking about how he knew Summer, gonna have a deal with Summer and all that, just his weird attitude. And when Dylan was talking to him, and he said he was in sales, I was thinking, as probably many of you were, yeah, he's in sales, he's selling the girls off. Of course, he's not going to admit that. He said something guards or something that he was claiming to be selling, but I don't think I couldn't understand what he said. Sorry about this review. My voice has been off a little today, and I'm tired, so that's definitely isn't going to be my best review. But, you know, like he was talking, and he said he was into the whatever guards sales, and whatever he said, I don't know, I couldn't understand him. I rewound it a couple times. But anyway, definitely think that he's selling the girls. Now, something that I did like about this episode a lot was how Norma knows who Bradley is now, and there's definitely going to be some conflict there. When Emma showed up, now this one was one I really liked. The way she looked at Bradley, what her attitude was, she was really offended. She doesn't like Bradley, you can tell. You know, there's going to be something there. If Norma doesn't take her out, then Norman will. So, one of them is going to take him out. But anyway, this was something else I found funny about the episode, even though this wasn't anything bad about the episode. This is me. This is me personally. Even though I wish they had different words for it. When Norma was talking to Norman about Bradley, she was like, oh, you shouldn't be dabbling around in stuff like that. I was like, really? You had to choose those words, dabbling around in? That can be taken in so many ways. And with the relationship between Bradley and Norman, it's just a poor choice of words. But I'm the one that took it to be funny, not the show. Another thing, I was right. So right. I totally knew that Bradley was screwing over Norman. You know, throughout the episode, you know, she was kind of taken aback from him. She probably knew that he had feelings for her and trying to avoid him. Of course, he goes to the house finally, and she tells him straight up that she doesn't see him like that. She just screwed him for the hell of it because she was depressed or whatever. But I mean, I've been on message boards and people talking back and forth, you know, Bradley's good, Bradley's bad, Bradley's good, Bradley's bad. I was on her side to be bad. I knew she would screw him over. Even though she tried to make up for it, I still don't fucking like her. And she does her part very well. It's not like I don't like the actress or that I don't really like the character. It's not like her that makes any sense. And this is another thing that is just a small nitpick. If you notice in my reviews, I haven't found any big issues about the show. Norman said, are you still dating Richard or something? And it took me a while to remember who that was. Was that the guy from the first couple of episodes that Norman had some kind of a little bit of conflict with? That weird guy? He did not leave an impression. His acting wasn't that great. His character wasn't that great. I had forgotten about him until somebody mentioned it. And even then, it took me a while to figure it out. So yeah, I mean, I hope he doesn't come back. I really hope he doesn't, because, that's going to hurt the show if he keeps coming back. And that may turn into a big thing for me. The last thing, now I really like this, was Norman's sinister attitude. I think Freddie Highmore plays this part very well. He's so sinister and weird, and when he found out that Bradley was just using him. He was walking down the road, pissed off, talking to himself, repeating what Norma said. And he did that so well. You could definitely, you've always been able to tell, but you can definitely tell then too, that, you know, the darkness is settling, and his mind just crazy. But anyway, you know, I've been out of it, so I apologize, this view isn't that great, I know. But, you know, even if I'm not feeling well, the review has to go on for each week. Next week, I'll try to be a little better. My last 2 reviews have been a lot better than they were. This one's off, but we all have our off days. So, peace out.